There is a tremendous amount of discourse in the Titans fan base right now surrounding wide receiver Treylon Burks, and I get it. Look, I get it. But today I'm here to talk about why I am Team Burks. I have been since he's been drafted, and I think that we could be looking at a breakout season going into his third year as a Titan. And so let's talk about it. My name is Jonathan Miller, host of the All Things Titans podcast, and we're going to dive into the discourse in the Titans community right now. Why everyone's talking about Treylon Burks being traded, why people have been trying to trade him since before the draft a replacement. I've seen some people say cut him, just some really outlandish opinions. And look, I do understand, and I am on board with most Titans fans and being disappointed by the production that we've gotten from our first round receiver in the first 2 years, but I wanted to talk about it today because there's truly a tremendous amount of context that is needed to understand why Treylon could be looking at a serious breakout year this year. And I know you look at his production and say, what tells you that? Obviously, it's not been his health or his availability. He hasn't been available. He's only played 22 games as a Titan in the first 2 years. That's not great, but I don't think that's the primary reason why we haven't seen what we've needed to see or maybe lived up to the expectations that he's had. First off, let's look at what his first 2 seasons has been as a Titan. He was essentially traded. A.J. Brown was essentially traded for him, right? You trade A.J. Brown for a first-round pick and a third-round pick to the Eagles, and then you use that first-round pick to draft Treylon Burks. And, of course, the idea when you're looking at it that way is like, okay, this guy's going to come in and replace A.J. Brown. Well, that's incredibly unfair, given A.J. Brown ascended to be a top 5 receiver, bona fide top 5 receiver, when his first year with the Eagles, and played fantastic and was arguably the best receiver the Titans have ever had or have had in recent time. So you have that level of expectation put on you. And then beyond that, you also have the team that was around Treylon when he was drafted. I mean, yes, you have one of the best running backs to ever play the game in that offense. You have, a decent quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, who was playing very well for the Titans prior to that season that Treylon was drafted, but then it was downhill for him. And then you have some of the worst, if not the worst, offensive line play the Titans have had in decades, maybe ever. Definitely the worst left tackle play that they've had in several decades. I mean, this team has strung amazing left tackle franchise talent career after career after career, and then to have some of the worst left tackle play and bad offensive line play all across the board with Treylon there. And then you look at the receiver room. Outside of Treylon Burks, you have a rotation of journeymen who came in that joined Treylon in that. You had Chig that year, which was pretty good. Kyle got hurt early on their rookie season, so you didn't get much from him either. So my point is that Treylon Burks from the jump was not set up to succeed. He was never A.J. Brown when he was drafted, though they comped him as A.J. They're like, A.J. Brown is his comp. Like, why? If you look at his career in Arkansas, he had a very great year, his junior year, which was his last year at Arkansas. Over 1,000 yards, I think over 1,100 yards receiving, over 10, I think it was 11 touchdowns. So a fantastic last year with Arkansas, but he did that primarily in the slot at F. And then you asked him to play the outside, and he was the primary target for that offense. There was just way too many things going against him, especially in a run-dominant, run-heavy offense as well. So many things playing against him. Now, this is the necessary context and why I believe Treylon could be looking at a breakout season in year 3. Not only has all of those things that I just mentioned that were detriments improved, you have a brand new head coach, which is a offensive-minded head coach, pass-heavy scheme, excuse me. You have a brand new offensive coordinator. You have all new coaches for the most part. You have a brand new philosophy, not only on the football field, but in the front office. You have an improved offensive line with a true left tackle who's going to come in and set the edge. You have one of the best centers who was brought in. You have a left guard. The Titans picked 2 offensive linemen with the last 2 first-round picks since Treylon Burks was drafted. You have a ton of resources dumped into this offense. You have DeAndre Hopkins, who is back, who was the first productive receiver that the Titans offense has had since A.J. Brown. And then you bring in another guy who is highly productive, who is a skilled route runner, and a very, very good receiver that is going to complement the offense in Calvin Ridley, who will be a bona fide wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 in this offense. So you start to add all these pieces. You start to bring in a complete philosophy change, a coaching change. It's a fresh start. You have a healthy offseason for Treylon Burks, where he gets to spend the entire offseason continuing to be mentored and trained by DeAndre Hopkins. He gets going into third year where it's professional conditioning. His rookie season, he had asthma, and that was really hard to manage for him, so he struggled. That was also in the media limelight because he was the first round pick. He was the savior after trading A.J. Brown and that, disaster of an offseason. And so all of these factors all piled in and give Treylon Burks everything he possibly needs. Now, the biggest factor still remains injuries. If he can't stay healthy, none of that can happen. And so I hear most of you and most of the Titans fans I agree with in saying that if he cannot stay healthy, then none of this can happen. That is the biggest outlier. The best ability is availability. This guy is incredibly talented. I think a lot of Titans fans forget that because you look at the stats sheet at the end of the year and you go, 35 catches, 400 something yards. Like last season, 16 catches, 200 something yards. Like that's just not going to cut it. And I understand, but when you watch this guy play, I mean, some massive highlights for this guy downfield, but that's the beauty of why this offense is going to be perfect for him moving into next season. He has 2 stud receivers in front of him that allow him to just play his game. He doesn't have to be A.J. Brown in this offense anymore. He can just be the receiver he was in Arkansas if they want him to be that, and play to that strength where he can play the F, be moved around in the slot. You can line him up in the slot, have him run a go seam ball or something. Like, there's so much that the Titans offense can now do because they have adequate talent. There has not been adequate talent on this team when Treylon Burks was expected to be the top guy. And so I think there's major upside from a developmental standpoint. He has the best people around him to get him there. All that has to happen now is he's just got to stay healthy. And time will only tell on that. So we'll see. But for me personally, I think just looking at it objectively, looking at everything that's happened around him from a developmental standpoint, putting him in a position to succeed, he doesn't have to be A.J. Brown anymore. He can just play to his strengths. And you can put him in a rotation that gets him comfortable with a heavier workload. And he's got continuity, not just in the facility, but with the quarterback, Will Levis. He's got continuity with his receiver room and DeAndre Hopkins, who he spent a year with and I'm sure has learned a lot from. This guy has the opportunity in front of him to become something special. And when you look at everything like that and you break it all down with proper context, there's a lot to be excited and optimistic about. Let's just see if he can stay healthy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I appreciate you guys. Wanted to keep this one short, quick, and sweet for you all. But really quickly, before I let you go, make sure you guys are subscribed over at the Glory Day Sports YouTube channel with my co-host Jake Robertson and B. Will. We do a podcast every Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Central. We talk all things Titans, things around the league. We have a ton of fun. We have a draft that's like a random fun thing at the end of the show, which is awesome. So if you guys are interested, please go subscribe to that channel. It's called The Morning Glory Show that we do Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. And then, of course, if you're not subscribed to this channel here, I would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you drop me a like. It helps the algorithm find other Titans fans and other fans of football that might just like my opinion. So with that, guys, I appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.